Alright, so we have all the bushings that we're going to be pressing in and installing along with the parts, for the exception of the extension housing itself and the case. We'll do those later. But bushings, front to back, left to right, coast clutch drum, pump, sun gear shaft, front planet, extension housing, output shaft, and center support. So again, as a reminder, the extension housing for the late model 04 and up, they take a wider bushing. So you want to keep that in mind. And they don't come in the kits. Alright, I'm going to start with the pump, at least the stator. I did the pump body in a separate clip. So I prefer to install all of these bushings for TH400s 480Es on a press, though you can install them, with a hammer and a suitable bushing driver on the bench, but it's not my preference. However, if you don't have a press, that's kind of, maybe your only option. Okay, I'm going to reposition the camera, and then we'll press in the bushings one by one. Okay, the front stator bushing is a Sonex oversized bushing. Comes in the SureCure kit. For anything high performance, I highly recommend it. So this one, you're just going to drive all the way in until it stops. A couple of these bushing drivers that I'm using are out of a Kent Moore TH400 specific bushing driver kit. I'll put the specific J code numbers or whatever in the description, so that if you're looking for that kit or the individual drivers, because I see them sold piecemeal on eBay, you can find them. I'm actually going to drive this in just a little bit more. Okay, we'll go ahead and now test fit the bushing with the input shaft. And as you can see, it's not allowing it to pass. So that means that we have to file to fit this thing, which is not uncommon with Sonex bushings. So I'll go ahead and do that off camera. It's just sandpaper, 400 grit, then 800 grit until it slides on through without any kind of side play, and that's it. So here's what I'm doing with the front bushing here, the Sonex one that came out of the SureCure kit. So what I'll do, because it won't fit, when you install this bushing, chances are you will not be able to slide the input shaft, through the stator as you would a normal bushing. So you'll test fit it, and it'll probably seize somewhere like, part way through. So what I'll do is I'll pound it through. I got it all the way through, and I'll see where the high spots are. See the high spots? That bushing looks hideous, but all you really need to do is clean it up with, at this point, 400 and then 800 grit. I got it started using, I think this is 200 grit, I'm not sure, maybe it's 100 grit, but real coarse grit. Maybe 3 to 5 minutes, and then go ahead and pound the input shaft through it. And at that point, you should have a good idea of how much work is left ahead of you before you're done. Okay, it's almost there, so all I'm going to do is now, excuse me, all I'm going to do is finish it off with some 800 or 1000 grit sandpaper. Do that for about maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and it should be perfect. So it's what you're in for if you're going to be working with the Sonex bushing. All told, it takes about maybe 10 minutes of of this kind of work to get it to go. It's definitely worth it. The Sonex bushing is a much better front bushing for the stator on these 4L80Es. Hey, coast clutch drum. I had the wrong bushing. I was going to put the extension housing bushing in the coast clutch drum. Should not like that. Hey, the front bushing can be tricky. You really got to watch your travel. You don't want to sink it in too far. It's got to literally sit perfectly, centered in its location. Okay, so it's about halfway down. We just want the top of the bushing flush with the surface on the drum there. Getting there. Too big. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is take a bushing that's too big for the bore and then just seat it flush. This way I know I won't overshoot it. I recommend that if you're doing these for the first time, buy 2 complete bushing kits, because it's, you know, it's all too easy to, you know, screw something up, break a bushing, put something in cockeyed, and you gotta destroy it to get it out if you don't have like a blind hole puller or something. Okay, it should fit nice and snug, and you know, at the same time turn real easy. Alright, next up we'll do the center support. So you want to pay attention to that feed hole right there. See that cutout? That's what you're gonna attempt to line up, because if you do that, then your other 2 feed locations on the main body of the bushing will go exactly where they need to. So this particular driver here is out of that same Kentmore kit. It's J21465-6, and this is gonna remove and reinstall all center support bushings for TH400s and 4L80Es all years. So just clean it out real thorough, and make sure there's nothing down there that would interfere with the bushing. You also want to be mindful of any burrs inside that bore. That'll cause the bushing to bow outward. Any kind of debris. You want to make sure it's completely clean and free of anything that'll interfere with the bushing. Okay, so here's that little lube port. That's what we want to align our bushing to. Little cutout in the bushing. So this is a late model 4L80E. Whatever you do, do not install a TH400 or early model 4L80E bushing into these late model center supports. You'll have a major problem. The early models have like a rectangular cutout in roughly this area, whereas the late models, they have just these two holes here, one big, one small. Okay, do the best you can to visually align your bushing. So as long as that bushing is correctly aligned, you won't have issues with the other two holes. Worst case scenario, you just got to do it again if you miss. All right, we'll check it real quick. So that's what you're aiming for. Should be lined up, if slightly off center. Check it again. Almost there. Okay, that's what it should look like when it's fully seated. Okay, we'll do the front planet next. And I don't have a bushing driver that fits this exactly, so I just gotta keep it as centered as I can and, you know, drive it in. New transmissions, a lot, you're gonna find yourself just accumulating all kind of press tooling, because it's almost like you can't have too many different drivers or pullers, or, you know, whatever the case may be. I don't like that. Okay, fits perfect. Okay, sun gear shaft. So this and the front stator bushing, you know, these two bushings and the front stator bushing, I'm more than likely going to have to hone out. And that front stator bushing, there's a lot of meat on it. So Sonics tells you like a thou, 1/1000th of an inch. I think it's like more like maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4. Yeah, with these, you just want to make sure you don't overlap the lube port. All right, let's check it. So this is going to be the rear. About to say I maybe caught a break, but no such luck. It's that rear one's tight. We'll come back to those. Last bushing is going to be for the output shaft. I should say last bushing in the gear train, not the last bushing overall. This is another one that you kind of have to be careful with. I mean, if your bushing driver is not absolutely perfectly sized, you know, the driver itself, then it might stick or get stuck in the bushing. And that, I mean, this is the closest bushing I have to this size, but it may stick in there. Well, so far no sticky. It's got to go in maybe another 1/16 of an inch or so. Okay, good to go. Hey, extension housing. Yes, it's canary yellow, and it's the first time I've ever built, I think, any transmission, let alone 480E, canary yellow, but it somewhat matches the owner's vehicle, so that's what we were going for. Okay, it still needs a coat of paint, but I'll apply that after this. So you would just want to line up the lube port here in the bushing with the one in the extension housing. Other than that, it's just like any other bushing. want to check it. Okay, let me go get a flashlight, and I'll shine a flashlight up through here, and we should be able to see the light if we're aligned correctly. Okay, I cannot tell for the life of me if that's at all visible in this camera. All right, there it is. Cool. All right. The bushing can stand to go down maybe one more stroke, and then we'll call it a day. Okay, just test fit it using a yoke. Checks good. All right, so the case I will do at another time when we go to start rebuilding the transmission. That's actually going to take a early 480E pump body bushing in the rear of the case so that I can install a TH350 pump bearing there and a shim to rollerize it. But anyway, the only other drum that I don't have yet, but I'll tack it on once that bushing comes in, is the forward drum, and that gets that longer bushing. And I'm hoping that that won't be a problem when it comes to clearancing and all that. I'm gonna press in the forward drum bushing. I got the bushings in today, and unfortunately these bushings are the stock size bushings, and I don't have time to, you know, chase down the correct ones. I mean, I will, but they won't be in by the time this thing's done. So you'll get to see the installation of a stock size bushing for the forward drum, but unfortunately not the wide bushing that I had alluded to a little bit earlier. So for this bushing, you want to seat it about another 20% below flush so that you have maybe, I don't know, 2/3 of the amount of space here between the bottom and the bottom of the bushing. This one might work a little bit better. I think that's okay. You see it's in the bevel, and it could probably stand to go down just a little bit more. right, that's kind of how you want it. Like I said, that's bushings, 4LADE. So if you have any questions, comments, go ahead and leave them below. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching.